Hey there, nation, and welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander Cheapskate, and today we're making a quick impromptu video today, and the reason why is because just fresh off the press at the Warhammer community webpage is a brand new supplement to the Apocrypha Necromunda. We have one called Bone Dry and Broke, and this is actually one of the latest Apocrypha Necromunda supplements they've released in a long time on the community website, and this actually dropped on Tuesday of January 14th, and we're going to talk about exactly what this contains because there's some really interesting rules, especially for those of you who play Venator gangs. So in this video, we're going to talk about exactly what this supplement contains and talk about exactly some of the new changes that are taking place and how it can really help you out in your campaigns. And as well, if you're playing a Venator player, this will be definitely a really cool resource. And the best part about it, it's absolutely free to download. So if you get a chance, head to the Warhammer community webpage and download this supplement so that way you can use it in your games of Necromunda. So that being said, let's get this on a roll. Alright, so let's talk about the Apocrypha Necromunda supplement, Bone Dry and Broke. So as you can see here, just like all the other supplements they actually have quite a bit of information here in terms of lore, so they usually start off with a short story. We're going to skip that because that's not exactly the focus of this. The real focus, however, is this. Right here, as you guys can see, we have a brand new update towards Venator gangs. So Venator gangs had a release in a supplement called Necromunda, the Book of Peril, which is actually a brand new supplement, if I remember correctly, the very first supplement they released with the new campaign settings for Necromunda. They actually introduced the bad zone environments and the bad zone environmental effects. At the same time, they also introduced us to the merchant guilds and how we can actually have merchant guild delegations added to our gangs with the brand new alliance system at that time. If I remember correctly, that supplement came out in 2017, and they also showed us how to use Venator gangs, which are bounty hunter gangs, and they really haven't gotten any much support since that time. But this supplement actually does a lot of really cool things because it really updates them in a pretty significant way and actually makes the Venator gangs even better. For those of you guys who are unaware, Venator gangs are pretty much a gang of bounty hunters that go into the underhives in order to enforce well, I guess I want to say the law. They're there to capture criminals and, cash in on bounties on wanted criminals that live in the underhive. They also act as mercenaries that you can hire in order to enforce the will of the guilds as well. And they were known as being a highly customizable game because you could use any kind of miniature you wanted to use for it. You can choose your own skills for your gang as well. They had very flexible stats that you can choose for characteristics for your fighters. You can actually made a really interesting gang, and you can really do some really cool things with it by adding a lot of variety to it. So these Venator gangs were quite popular. Well, now they've updated and they actually even made them even better, and they can actually give you a lot more variety in your gangs now. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So first of all, let's go and talk about the gang composition real quick. So Venator rules, the gang composition is exactly still the same. They have some rules there about Dominion campaigns as well as captured fighters as well as their skill access. That still remains the same from previously. So what you would do is you would actually pick 4 major skills to represent your gang. 2 of them will be your primary skills, while the other 2 will be your secondary skills. And they can choose any skill that you want to so long as they were actually from the original core rulebook. So that's basically how it works. So you can't do anything like esoteric wise, like specific wise. So for example, you can't use the muscle skills from the House Goliath, for example, from the House of Chains. You can only use the 6 core rules and then choose which one you want. So as you can see in this example here, the Hunt Leader, for example, would have primary skill 1 and 2 plus a leadership skill, and then skill 3 and 4 would be your secondary skills. So you can make some really interesting ways and interesting skill sets for your gang depending on the way you want to play, which is actually kind of nice. At the same time, the Hangers On and Hired Guns and Dramatis Personae pretty much are the same as last time as well. They can hire Dramatis Personae and Hive Scum in the same way as other gangs. However, they may not hire bounty hunters apart from Dramatis bounty hunters because they are already bounty hunters in the Venator gang as well. And it says, note, however, that a Venator gang may not hire Hangers On, Brutes, or Dramatis Personae who only work with certain gangs regardless of the gang legacy of any of their fighters. And speaking of gang legacy, let's go and talk about that real quick. So in the previous edition of Necromunda, when we saw the rules for the Venators, you actually had to pay, I believe, 30 credits in order to get a house legacy for any one of your fighters. That is not the case anymore. As you can see here, these are actually for free now. It says, gang legacy. Most fighters in a Venator gang have access to a gang legacy as detailed in their fighter profile. A fighter with a gang legacy adds additional weapons and war gear to their equipment list when added to the gang as detailed below. So if you're a Cawdor player, for example, and you want to have Cawdor gang legacy for your fighter, they use the Cawdor Wordkeeper's equipment list from the House of Faith, right? Or if you want to have a Van Sar legacy, they can add things like your Van Sar Prime's equipment list and from the Book of Artifice. But they've actually added 2 new ones now, because originally you can only use the 6 gangs. Now they've added Ironhead Squats, so you can use the Ironhead Squat Chartermaster, and because now that it says from the Book of the Outlands, so we have that. That one might be kind of, I'm not sure if that would still remain the same because now we have the Hall of the Ancients, but I can see how people could say, we're just going to use the Book of the Outcasts instead. We're not going to use Hall of the Ancients. But if I was an arbitrator, I would use the Hall of the Ancients if I wanted to for my players. And then, of course, we have Ogryns. You have the Ogryn Overboss for the House of Chains. And it says here, a Venator hunt leader or Venator hunt champion may purchase status items or exotic beasts associated with their gang legacy when recruited. For example, a Venator hunt leader with a Goliath gang legacy may purchase a Sumcroc. There is no restriction on differing gang legacies within a gang. A Venator gang may contain as many or as few as you wish. However, each fighter may only originate from one house. And it says that if a Venator's gang leader has a gang legacy, then the gang may include claim enhanced boons as if they were that gang. However, the leader does not have a gang legacy, then the gang may not claim any enhanced boons as well. So as you can see there, the house legacy rules are now free for your fighters. So long as you're taking a human, and that's very specific difference here, your fighter has to be a human, a normal human, and they can take one of these gang legacies, or obviously if you're an Ogren or a Squat, you can take those two. But from the 6 main houses, you have to be human to get those. And they're absolutely free for your fighters, which is a huge bonus because now instead of paying 30 credits to do that, that's absolutely for free. Now, the reason why I say it's important that you're human now is because now we have brand new ways that you can actually recruit fighters in your gangs. We now have Ratling Venators, so we have Abhumans now. It says, as one of the most recognized stable Abhuman strains, Ratlings often find work as part of a Venator gang. All Ratling Venators are subject to the following rules. You have sniping special rule now if you decide to be a Ratling. This fighter may reroll hit rolls of 1 natural 1 performing a shoot basic action after taking the aim basic action with a basic weapon. Sneaking. Increase the hit penalty to make a shooting attack against this fighter while they're covered by 1. Slopping. At the end of the setup of the battlefield step of the pre-game battle sequence, roll d6 for each fighter with this rule that is in recovery. On a roll of 6, a consistent supply of good food has helped them to recover more quickly. The fighters in recovery box in the gang's roster is cleared, and they are now available for this battle. If the Venator gang also has a slopper hanger on, they may any Ratling Venator may roll once for this rule and once for the slopper. So now we have that little new game mechanic involved with Venator gangs if you have a Ratling in your gang. We now have Beastmen Venators as well. It says, Beastmen are perhaps the most savage of the Necromunda-sanctioned Abhumans, often serving as bounty hunters or in the Underhive kill squads. All Beastmen Venators are now subject to the following rules. Feral Warriors. Beastmen fighters increase their tax characteristics by 1 if they have suffered 1 or more flesh wounds. And now we can start using Beastmen in our gangs, which is actually quite cool. And we have the Frenzon conditioning. A history of being considered disposable shock troops often dosed with Frenzon has resulted in Beastmen becoming immune to the chem's negative effects. Beastmen fighters never suffer any side effects from using Frenzon, and it says see the Necromunda core rulebook. So now we have new fighters that we can include in this gang with Ratlings as well as Beastmen. But that is not all, because now if you look at our Venator hunter list now, we also have Ogrins that we can now recruit in our gangs, and same thing with Squats. So now we have the whole list of Abhumans that we can now put inside of our Venator gangs too. So if you want to make a really interesting list with a combination of humans, Ogrins, Squats, Ratlings, and Beastmen, it is now available to do so. And that's a really cool thing too, because especially if you play Warhammer 40,000 or if you play Warhammer 40,000 Kill Team now, this allows a lot greater flexibility for users to use those same miniatures in Necromunda. So if you're kind of on the fence and you're a 40k player or a Kill Team player and you're kind of on the fence about playing Necromunda, well now you can, because if you play with things like this in your own games, you can now include these as Venators in your gangs. And in fact, we're going to take a little break here and we're going to talk about exactly what you can do with your Venator hunt leaders and talk about how they could be really awesome on the tabletop. Alright, so let's go and talk about the Venator hunt leaders. So as you can see now, we have a variety of different types of people we can actually use as our hunt leaders now. And they kind of change a little bit exactly about the stat rules as well. So as you can see, we actually have multiple ones. We have the house hunt leader. This could be a leader, because the house hunt leader is added to the gang's, the Venator gang. Select one of the profile below to represent them. That costs 120 credits. As you can see here now, we've changed a little bit with the different stats this time. So these are for the guys who are actually humans, or close to human as you can get in the Underhive. And as you can see, we actually have some differences now in the main stat line. So like the versatile stat line now is the one on the top. Pretty much 3s across the board with 4+ initiative, 2 attacks, 6 leadership, 5 cool, 6 willpower, 6 intelligence. We have another one now. It's a 4-inch wound allowance, but we have 3 weapon skill and ballistic skill, 4 strength, 3 toughness, but only 2 wounds, 3 initiative, 2 attacks, 6s on leadership and cool, 5 on willpower, as well as 5 intelligence. So this one's more like the more close combat oriented looking list, I guess you would say. Then of course we have the shooting list, the shooting stat line, which is 4-inch movement, 4+ weapon skill, 2+ ballistic skill, 3 strength and toughness, 2 wounds, 4 initiative, only 1 attack, but we got 5 leadership, cool, 6 willpower, 4 intelligence, and then of course we have the very fast moving 6-inch movement allowance with 3+ weapon skill, 4+ ballistic skill, 3 strength and toughness, 2 wounds, 2 initiative, 3 attacks, 7 leadership, 6 cool, 7 willpower, as well as 6 intelligence. So it looks like they made these lists a lot better in my opinion. These stat lines are really powerful. I really like the versatile stat line that's directly on the top. I think that's a really good, well-balanced leader to lead your hunt gangs. A pretty close second for me actually would be the close combat one with the 4-up strength. And the reason why is because you got that amazing willpower score, and you can actually really use that to help you out if you actually make a leader into a Psyker, for example. Now, it says you got a Venator gang leader. House leader is subject to all the same rules associated with the Venator hunt leader, and of course you have your house legacies. And this is where you can choose your Khador, Delak, Escher, Goliath, Orlok, or Vanstar gang legacies. Now, it should be mentioned that this is the only character of the leaders that can actually take those legacies, all right? Everybody else has their own version, but they can't use these original 6 core ones. Then we actually have the Ogre Hunt leader now. So this one's actually the leader we can now choose. We can have an Ogre leader gang. It's got 155 credits. Very similar stat lines as the normal Ogre that you would see in the House of Chains. Once again, can be an Orc leader, can be the leader of your gang. At the same time, you could use the Ogre gang legacy that is available from the House of Chains if you want this character. We also have a Squat Hunt leader. This costs 130 credits. Pretty similar stats as the ones found in the book of the Hall of the Ancients. They could also be your leader as well. Or they could also take the Squat Gang legacy as well, so that way they can take equipment from that list. Then we have the Rattling Hunt leader, which costs 95 credits. He's got 6-inch wound allowance, 4+ weapon skill, 2+ ballistic skill, 2 strength, 2 toughness, 3 wounds, 2 initiative, 2 attacks, 6 leadership, 6 cool, 6 willpower, as well as 5 intelligence. Unfortunately for this guy, he's got a really horrible strength as well as toughness, but it's nice because it's balanced out with a higher wound count, which is quite good. His psychology stats are quite good, and obviously this guy's going to be the shooter in the group with a really fast movement. So if you want to use a Rattling for your hunt leader, that could be really kind of cool. Kind of like a killer Bilbo Baggins type character. And once again, this guy, of course, can also take the rules associated with the Rattling Venators that we talked about earlier. And then one of the coolest ones, in my opinion, is the Beastman Hunt leader. This guy costs 95 credits, 4-inch wound allowance, 3+ weapon skill and ballistic skill, 4 strength and toughness, 3 wounds, 3 initiative, 3 attacks, 7 leadership, 5 cool, 7 willpower, 7 intelligence. This guy is kitted out to kill with that nice balance of strength and toughness. He's also got that 4-inch wound allowance as well, so that's quite good. He's also got a pretty good wound count and attack count. And of course, he has the same rules for being a leader as well as being a Beastman as well. So if you want to actually start using some of your 40k stuff, like for example, that Beastman kill team from Warhammer 40,000 kill team, you could do that. Or the upcoming new snipers from that Rattling kill team, you could also do that too. Or, you know, mixed bag. It's kind of neat what kind of stuff you can pull now. Now, when it comes to leaders, of course, we also have our special rules. They have the typical gang leader special rule as well as gang hierarchy, tools of the trade. Once again, two fighter group activation as well. We had talked about the skills earlier, and when it comes to weapons equipment, it says they can take availability of a common or rare of 11. During the course of the campaign, they can add more weapons of war gear, of course. It says, note that during the course of a campaign, a hunt leader may not purchase additional weapons or war gear from any equipment list granted them by their gang legacy. So you do have to worry about that, of course. So that's one thing that I think is kind of upsetting, because like it's supposed to represent the fact that you left your gang, your house, with the gear that you took with you when you left. So do keep that in mind. So if you want to get something later on, might not be possible for you. I personally think it should be possible because it's Necromunda. You know, there's black markets and stuff. People sell things all the time that shouldn't be selling. But you know, that's just me though. And lastly, it says Hunt Leader has no restrictions upon the types of weapons they can take. All weapon types are available. So that is our overview of the Hunt Leader for the new rules. Alright, so now let's talk about the Venator Hunt champions now. So these champions now cost 90 credits apiece. Once again, we have 4 characteristics on these guys. First one is 5-inch movement, 3 weapon skill, ballistic skill, 3 strength and toughness, 2 wounds, 4 initiative, 2 attacks, 7 leadership, 6 cool, 7 willpower, 7 intelligence. So that's the versatile stat line in my opinion. Then we have the close combat stat line again. 5-inch movement, 4 weapon skill, 3 ballistic skill, 4 strength, 3 toughness, 1 wound, 5 initiative, 2 attacks, 6 leadership, 6 cool, 6 willpower, as well as 5 intelligence. Then we have the shooter stat line, which is 4-inch movement, 4+ weapon skill, 2+ ballistic skill, 3 strength and toughness, 2 wounds, 5 initiative, 2 attacks, 7 leadership, 5 cool, 8 willpower, 8 intelligence. And of course, we have the fast mover, which is a 6-inch wound allowance with 3+ weapon skill, 4+ ballistic skill, 3 strength and toughness, 2 wounds, 4 initiative, 2 attacks, 7 leadership, 7 cool, 8 willpower, as well as 8 intelligence. And of course, once again, you can pick your house legacy from the 6 core gangs. We also have Ogre Hunt champions, which are 125 credits, exactly the same stat lines as their House of Chains counterpart. And they can take the Ogre and Gang legacy. Squat Hunt champion, also the same kind of stat line as it looks like the Drillkin stat line from the Hall of Ancients, causing 95 credits. And of course, you can take the Squat Gang legacy. But then we have the brand new Rattling Hunt champion. At 50 credits, they got a 4-inch wound allowance, 5+ weapon skill, and 3 ballistic skill, 2 strength and toughness, 2 wounds, 3 initiative, 1 attack, 7 leadership, 6 cool, 7 willpower, as well as 5 intelligence. Once again, they can also take Venator Hunt champion rules at the same time that the Rattling rules attached to them as well. And then we have the Beastman Hunt champion. Excuse me, at 50 credits, he's got 400 wound allowance, 3+ weapon skill, 4+ Blizzard skill, 4 strength and toughness, 2 wounds, 4 initiative, 2 attacks, 8 leadership, 6 cool, 7 willpower, as well as 8 intelligence. And once again, he can be a champion, and the same thing with the Venator, the Beastman special rules attached to this character. So as you can see here, they actually did some pretty cool things with the new champion, with the new stats. I think it's kind of interesting how they've done that. But what I really like about it, though, is now we can include Ogrins, Squats, Ratlings, and Beastmen as champions for our gangs as well, which opens up a lot of opportunities for our gang. And once again, the same rules apply as a champion. They got the gang hierarchy champion special rule, tools of the trade, 1 group activation as well. They have their list of skills as before. And at the same time, they also talk about the same exact rules before, where you can take a common or rarity up to 10 for these characters. And of course, if you do get your hunt legacies, house legacies, you can only take it for the first time that you recruit these guys. I think that's kind of bogus, but I can see where they're going with it on this one. And of course, they can also take all weapon types available to them as well. And this actually makes it the brand new rules for the Venator Hunt Champions. Alright, so the very last fighter we're going to talk about now are the Venator Hunters. These are the gangers of our Venator bounty hunting gangs. And once again, they still cost 50 credits. Once again, we have new stat lines now associated for these guys. We have the versatile stat of 5 inches, 4 weapon skill, ballistic skill, 3 strength and toughness, 1 wound, 4 initiative, 1 attack, 7 leadership, 6 cool, 7 willpower, 7 intelligence. We then, of course, have our close combat stat of 4 movement, 4+ weapon skill, 5+ ballistic skill, 4 strength, 3 toughness, 1 wound, 5 initiative, 1 attack, 6 leadership, 6 cool, 7 willpower, as well as 6 intelligence. We then have our shooter stat line of 4 inches for movement, 4+ weapon skill, 3+ ballistic skill, 3 strength and toughness, 1 wound, 5 initiative, 1 attack, 7 leadership, 6 cool, 8 willpower, as well as 9 intelligence. And then we have our movement, our fast mover with 6-inch wound allowance, 4+ weapon skill, 5+ ballistic skill, oddly enough, 3 strength and toughness, 1 wound, 3 initiative, 1 attack, 6 leadership, 6 cool, 6 willpower, as well as 7 intelligence. And once again, these guys also have the access to the 6 core gang house legacies. So I think that's actually quite cool. We actually have a still variety of different stats we can choose from, which is absolutely fantastic. But on top of that, though, we can take Ogren Hunters. We're 105 credits, the exact same stat line as their Book of Chains counterparts. Same thing with Squat Hunters, being exactly the same as our Drillkin, not Drillkin, our, I guess you would call them, not Drillkin, I forgot what they're called, the gang level fighters. Anyways, the kin, just like normal guys that could normally take at 55 credits, and then, of course, they have the same stat lines. They could take the Squat Gang Legacy. And then we have our Rattling Hunters, which are new for 20 credits. 4 wound allowance, 5+ weapon skill, 4+ ballistic skill, 2 strength and toughness, 1 wound, 3 initiative, 1 attack, 7 leadership, cool, 8 willpower, as well as 5 intelligence. And of course, they got the Rattling special rules attached to them. And then we have our Beastman Hunters, or our gangers, at 20 credits, oddly enough. They got 4-inch wound allowance, 3+ weapon skill, 4+ ballistic skill, 4 strength and toughness, 1 wound, 4 initiative, 1 attack, 9 leadership, 6 cool, 8 willpower, as well as 8 intelligence. In my opinion, the Beastman Hunter is actually an absolute steal at 20 credits, because look at that really good stat line. It's got a decent movement, it's got decent weapon skill, ballistic skill, great strength and toughness, great initiative as well, and he's got, you know, okay psychology stats, but he's a Beastman for God's sake. And he's also got this Beastman special rules attached to him as well. And that pretty much is it for the new rules. I mean, we do have a little bit here where they talk about some of the things they could include. First of all, we got a new specialist now. In the Book of Peril, you could not take specialists at the beginning of a campaign, but in this one, you actually can start with a specialist, which is great, so they can have a variety of weapons for themselves. Once again, if you decide to take a house legacy, you can only choose your equipment for the very first time around, which I can understand why they did that. And they can also take basic weapons, pistols, close combat weapons, and war gear, all the way up to, I believe, a rarity level 8 is where they can take that as well. Whereas a specialist has no restrictions on how many weapons they can take as well, which means they could take heavy weapons if they want to, which could be quite interesting on that. And of course, we have a little scenario rules here where they talks about Return of the Gauntlet, which is a brand new scenario that they have featuring Venator gangs, which is quite cool. But in the end, though, I really like the rules that they've now created for Venators. It's kind of nice seeing them getting some love from the community, from Necromunda and Games Workshop, and having them have updates as well. Now, there are no like juvie level hunters, or there are no vehicle crew members for Venator hunters yet at all. To be honest, though, I don't really think they need their own vehicle crew members, and I don't think they really need prospects either. I think the strength in this gang is the fact that you have such a variety of things that you can choose, because you don't really need prospects, because you can take Ogrins, you can take Squats, you can take Rattlings, you can take Beastmen. These are like your own little specialty guys that are included in your gang, which I think is absolutely fantastic, and I think that's a really great way that they can really add some variety to these games. I'm just, my imagination is spiraling right now, thinking of all the possible excellent combinations you can make with all these different rules. And in fact, if you really wanted to, you could actually make a really cool Ogren gang out of this as well. So for example, if you don't like some of the rules associated with your Ogren from the House of the Chains, you could just play an all Ogren gang gang. You got an Ogren leader, you got an Ogren champion, you got Ogren gangers you can take. Now, you can't take the Lobo slaves. You won't be able to take those guys, but that's perfectly fine because think about it. These guys can buy anything. You could actually put like combat shotguns on your Ogren hunters, and they can actually use like the old 40k Ogrens with their Ripper guns and just use those as proxies for your characters, or the ones with the huge shields and the grenade launchers. You could use those in your gang as well. So you could do a lot of cool things with these guys. The Ogrens could take heavy weapons and special weapons, whereas they couldn't do it in the House of Chains. So now the House of Chains guys are mainly all about, you know, being more like pit slaves with close combat and a lot of brutal close combat stuff. You can make a shooting Ogren gang with this, which could be really cool. Or you can make an all Beastman gang or an all Ratling gang if you wanted to as well. Not to mention just the variety of stuff you could do with your human counterparts already. Or, and my personal favorite idea to do with this is to use a gang of, you know, mixed fruit. Have a little bit of everything. Have some humans, have some Ogrens, have some squats and Ratlings, as well as Beastmen. You can really customize your gang to kind of play anything that you want and have some really cool rules attached to these guys and some really interesting loadouts. I mean, it's pretty much infinite already. The Venators were a great gang to begin with because you could pretty much make them into anything right off of the rules that they had, but now with this, the possibilities are absolutely endless. And I'm really excited to see exactly what community members out there actually come up with these new Venator rules, because it's so really neat, some of the things that they can actually do now with all the different abilities as well as all the different fighters and types of fighters they can take now as well. And my favorite thing about this supplement, to be perfectly honest as well, is the idea that you could also use this with 40k players. So if you are a 40k player and you're thinking about trying out Necromunda, and if you have miniatures that can meet these kind of criteria, you can do so now and not feel really have to spend extra money to actually enjoy the game. Same thing if you play Kill Team, for example. So like the Ratling Kill Team, for example, would be great to use, or like those Beastmen Kill Team that is out there, or just even the normal human ones. You could use the Eldar ones if you wanted to as well, and just use the fast mover stat line. The ones that have like the 6-inch moon allowance, for example. You could do that and do a lot of really cool things with it. So I just really like the way that this has kind of opened up a lot of things, and to actually add a lot more variety to the game already, and to add a lot more cooler gangs that you could take on in the future, which could be amazing to see all the different variety of things you can make. And I'm just really excited about this Apocrypha Necromunda. And the best part about all this, it's absolutely free to download from the Warhammer community page. Now, unfortunately, if you don't have the other books to supplement the equipment, that could be a problem, but no stress. I mean, you can find that information elsewhere on the interwebs if you want to find those. But yeah, this is a really great supplement. I think it's awesome, and I'm really happy that it came out for free. And I really can't wait to see exactly what people come up with when they build these for their gangs. So there you guys have it. It's a quick little impromptu video. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. You guys' input is invaluable to us as always. Also, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, as well as blogger.com for all the latest greatest hobby news related to this channel. That's good for this week, guys. I will catch you guys next one. Peace out and stay classy.